Glam More, Fear Less. It's Max Zadik, Mr. Divabetic, coming to you live on our 10th year podcast anniversary at Divabetic. I just wanted to thank all our loyal listeners, all the amazing guests, SONY Music, and of course you for tuning into our podcast these past 10 years. You know, when we kicked it off in July 2010 with a trial test of podcasting, I never thought I could go 10 years. In fact, if there's any theme to 10 years of podcasting, it's really about the ability to start over. A year before we began that test in July 2010, back in 2009, is when I found out that my national contract for Divabetic Makeover Your Diabetes was canceled. I was brokenhearted and depressed, and the last thing I wanted to do was take on a new challenge. So there I was trying to secure more funding to go forward with the program, sending out more letters, making more phone calls, dealing with more rejections, when LJK Marketing approached me about hosting a podcast. Of course, when you're in that kind of mindset, and you just are filled with negative thoughts, the last thing you want to do is take on a new opportunity. Thankfully, I had a change of heart. And here I am 10 years later, having produced 185 podcasts, reaching over 115,000 listeners with our Diva brand of diabetes outreach. And I'm so thankful to you for giving me that opportunity. I have met so many incredible men and women living well with diabetes over the last 10 years. I've had the opportunity to speak to so many incredible experts about different subjects from nutrition and fitness to the ABCs of diabetes to some of those other topics that people feel uncomfortable talking about. Mental health, the emotional side of living with diabetes, and sexual health issues relating to diabetes for both men and women. It's in those conversations that I think together we've changed attitudes about how to live well with diabetes. And so tonight, to mark this historical moment in Divabetic, I've chosen our musical inspiration is Patti LaBelle. I chose Patti LaBelle because, well, very much for the same reasons I was inspired by her back in 2003. At that time, in 2003, she was performing at a tribute concert for my former boss, Luther Vandross, in New York City. I was sitting in the audience watching her perform songs on stage when she stopped the show and told the audience that she had diabetes, but diabetes didn't have her. I froze in my seat and I looked up at stage, and that's when I thought, you're not a diabetic, you're a diva. And that's when the word Divabetic popped into my head. Since that time, so many women have taken on that term. And I love it because it represents a new attitude in diabetes, living well with diabetes. And it also, to me, means raising your voice and informing others about your health condition. For me, that night, watching her say those words, I was so caught off guard and regretful. My former boss, Luther Vandross, had suffered a debilitating stroke due to mismanagement of type 2 diabetes. And the day I found him and brought him to the hospital, and the doctor came out of the emergency room and told me Luther's stroke could have been prevented, is a day I'll never forget. And so hearing Patti LaBelle admit she was living to diabetes in front of a crowd of strangers gave me hope that together we could change attitudes about living with diabetes. And so tonight and tomorrow, I encourage you to lift your voice and reach out to a friend, a family member, a coworker, and let them know you're living with diabetes, and tell them how they could help you. Tell them where you keep your supplies, what they can do to help you in case something goes wrong when you're trying to get everything right. Let them be a part of your entourage. I think if you do, we'll both stay happy and healthy together. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us these past 10 years.